My name is Tracy Dixon. I'm 29 years old. For all 29 of those years, my parents made me feel like I didn't truly belong in my own family. Then, last Thanksgiving, I learned why. My aunt, 4 glasses of wine in, looked straight at me across the table and said 5 words. "You were never a Dixon." My dad turned pale. My mom dropped her glass. 13 relatives watched everything fall apart in real time. I grew up with less, worse food, a shared room while my sister had the master bedroom, no photos of me on the walls. I always believed I was the difficult child. I wasn't. When I told my parents I wanted a DNA test, they begged me not to. I did it anyway. The results changed 6 lives. Before I continue, take a second to like and subscribe, but only if this story resonates with you. Share your location and local time in the comments. Now let me take you back to that November evening, the night everything started to unravel. I drove 2 hours from my apartment in Marion to Kellerton, Ohio, a town of about 8,000 people, the kind of place where everyone knows your maiden name and your business. My parents' house sits on Birch Lane, a tan ranch-style home with white shutters and an American flag my dad replaces every 4th of July. I parked behind Megan's brand new Audi Q5. Dad helped pay for it. My car? A 12-year-old Civic with a cracked dashboard and a stubborn passenger window. I knocked. Mom opened the door, wearing her cranberry-colored apron. "Tracy, you made it." She hugged me quickly, the kind of hug you give out of routine. Inside, the house smelled like sage and roasted turkey. Above the fireplace hung the photos, 14 framed pictures, all of Megan, ballet recital, senior prom, a Reds game with Dad, college graduation, him smiling proudly beside her, not one of me. I stopped counting years ago, but that day I counted again, 14-0. Megan sat next to Dad on the good couch, legs tucked under her, laughing at her phone. She looked up. "Hey, Trace, traffic bad?" "Not really." "I saved you a seat." I carried my sweet potato casserole into the kitchen and set it down. Mom glanced at it. "Oh, Megan already brought one. We probably don't need to." "Right," I said. "Of course." In the dining room, my seat was waiting, end of the table, closest to the kitchen. A metal folding chair, while everyone else sat in Dad's oak set. 29 Thanksgivings. Same chair. While everyone gathered in the living room, I slipped down the hallway. Old habit. I still knew which floorboard creaked. My old bedroom door was slightly open. I pushed it wider and stopped in the doorway. It was a storage room now. Dad's hunting gear stacked in the corner. Christmas bins lined along the wall. A bare mattress pushed under the window. No sheets, no curtains. Just dust and glass. When I was 10, Megan turned 13. Dad decided she was old enough for the master bedroom, the one with the private bathroom and a view of the backyard garden. Mom redecorated it. Lavender walls, new bedding, a lighted vanity. I stayed in the same 8x10 room, shared it with storage until I moved out at 18. Dinner had always been divided the same way. Megan ate what Mom and Dad ate. Pot roast, grilled chicken, weekend steaks. I got whatever was left, usually mac and cheese from a box or a microwave burrito. "Megan has a bigger appetite," Mom would say. "You're just picky, Tracy." I wasn't picky. I was hungry, but I stopped arguing before middle school. The birthday I remember most is my 12th. I came downstairs expecting cake. There wasn't one. Mom forgot. The next day, she gave me a gas station cupcake and a candle that wouldn't light. 3 weeks later, Megan turned 15. There was a bounce house, 20 guests, a 3-tier cake from the bakery on Main Street. I stood inside and watched through the window. At 12, I stopped asking why. I decided I was the problem, the difficult child, the one who didn't photograph well. I believed that for 17 more years. Megan is 32 now, an event coordinator, at the Kellerton Grand Hotel, engaged to Derek, who works in logistics at a distribution center. They just bought a house 3 blocks from my parents. Dad gave them $12,000 for the down payment, and mentioned it twice that night, both times with pride swelling in his chest. At the table, Megan scrolled through photos of her kitchen remodel. "That's real granite quartz," Dad said. "Better for resale," Megan replied. "Smart girl," Mom beamed. I waited for a pause. "I got promoted last month, assistant manager at the clinic." Dad split a dinner roll in half. "Good." That was it. No questions, no interest. Just one word. Megan didn't notice. She never had. She'd lived in the spotlight so long it probably felt like daylight. Once, I asked her why there were no photos of me on the wall. She said, "You always made that face in pictures." She wasn't trying to be mean. She just didn't see it. I got up to grab water. Passing the TV stand, I stopped. There was a framed family portrait I'd never seen before. Studio lighting. Mom, Dad, and Megan, dressed up, smiling. I wasn't in it. I would have been around 13 when it was taken. They went somewhere, posed, and took a family photo, without me. I filled my glass and went back to my chair. The doorbell rang at 6:15. Mom opened it, her smile tightening. "Patricia, you made it." Aunt Patricia stepped in, carrying her own bottle of red wine. Dad's older sister, 61, a retired nurse. Widowed 5 years ago when Uncle Frank died of a stroke in their driveway, still holding a garden hose. She'd been drinking more since then. Everyone knew. No one said it. She spotted me immediately, crossed the room, and pulled me into a tight hug. "Look at you," she whispered. She held me at arm's length, studying my face. Her eyes were rimmed red. "You look so much like—" She stopped. "Like who?" She shook her head. "Never mind. You just look beautiful, sweetheart." Dad watched from his chair. "Pat, glad you could make it." "Wouldn't miss it, Bobby." He hated that name. I saw his jaw tighten. Patricia sat close to me. She smelled like Merlot and mint. She asked about my job, my apartment, whether I was seeing anyone. Real questions. Dad interrupted her twice. Once about cranberry sauce. Once about dessert timing. Each time, his eyes flicked toward her like he was on edge. Mom kept refilling Patricia's glass. At first, I thought it was kindness. Later, I realized it was nerves. Patricia squeezed my hand under the table. "I'm glad you're here, Tracy." The way she said it felt heavy, like she meant still here. The table filled, 13 of us, shoulder to shoulder. Dad at the head, Mom beside him, Megan and Derek next to her. I was at the far end, near the kitchen. Patricia across from me. Dad stood and tapped his glass. "I just want to say how grateful I am for this family. Megan and Derek, congratulations on the new house. Derek, welcome to the Dixons." Everyone clapped. Megan glowed. That was the whole toast. From the middle of the table, Great Aunt Ruth cleared her throat. "And Tracy, I heard you got a promotion?" "I did, last month." "Good for you. I always thought you were the hardest worker in this family." Dad reached for the mashed potatoes. Said nothing. I kept eating. Quietly. I'd had 29 years of practice. Patricia opened another bottle. Glass 3. Her eyes stayed on me the whole time. Mom leaned toward her. "Maybe slow down tonight." Patricia raised her glass slightly. "Maybe you should have slowed down 30 years ago, Linda." No one else noticed. Too much chatter, too many plates passing around. But Mom heard it. Her face went pale. She set her fork down, then picked it up again like nothing happened. I looked at Patricia. She was already looking at me. Something passes between us that I still can't quite put into words. Dessert is 45 minutes away. Patricia is on her 4th glass. Pumpkin pie, whipped cream, coffee waiting. She stands. The chair drags across the hardwood. 13 heads turn. Dad notices first. "Sit down, Pat." Patricia tightens her grip on the glass. Her chin quivers. "I've watched this long enough, Patricia." Dad's voice drops. A warning. "Don't." She looks at me. Tears slip down past her jaw. She doesn't bother wiping them away. You were never a Dixon. Silence. The kind that presses in on your ears. A spoon clinks against a plate. Derrick freezes mid-reach for the sugar. Ruth presses a hand to her chest. Gary looks at Donna. Donna looks at Mom. Mom's glass slips, red wine spreading across the white tablecloth like an opening wound. Dad shoves his chair back. She's drunk. She doesn't know what she's saying. Patricia shakes her head. I know exactly what I'm saying, Robert. I've known for 26 years. Shut your mouth. She deserves to. I said shut your mouth. The room fractures. Mark pulls his wife's chair back. Beth clutches Jim's arm. Megan stares at me, then Dad, then Mom, trying to piece together a puzzle she didn't even know existed. And Mom? She just sits there, hands flat on the table, eyes closed like she's been waiting for this moment since before I was born. Look around the table. Dad furious, Mom shattered, Patricia crying, Megan lost. 11 other people frozen in the wreckage of something they can't even name. And I realize this isn't the wine talking. This is the truth. The wine just opened the door. I stand, fold my napkin, set it beside my plate, walk out the front door, start my car, and drive away from Birch Lane. 5 words, 29 years of silence, and the whole house collapses behind me. I park behind First Methodist, 3 blocks away. Engine running, hands shaking on the wheel. The street lamp casts orange light through the windshield. My breath fogs the glass. My phone starts buzzing. I let it. Linda Dixon. 7 calls. Robert Dixon. 2. Megan. 3. 1 text from Ruth. Are you safe, sweetheart? I reply. I'm safe. On the 12th ring, I answer. It's Mom. Tracy, come back inside. She's drunk and confused. My voice comes out steadier than I expect. Then why is Dad yelling at her instead of being confused? Silence. 5 seconds. 10. I hear Dad in the background, muffled, sharp. Please don't make this bigger than it is. Bigger than what? Mom, tell me what this is. Nothing. She exhales. I count the seconds. Come home. We'll talk. We've had 29 years to talk. You chose not to. She starts crying, the quiet kind, air catching in her throat. I know that sound. I've heard it through walls my whole life and never understood why. Tracy, please. Tell me the truth, right now, on the phone. I can't. Not like this. Then I'll find it myself. I hang up. Set the phone face down on the passenger seat. The parking lot is empty. Just me, the hum of the engine, and the lamplight. I sit there for 30, maybe 40 minutes. Time softens when the ground disappears beneath you. Before I leave, I pick up my phone, open the browser, and type 5 words. Ancestry DNA test kit. Processing time, 6 to 8 weeks. I order it before I even start the car. Morning. My apartment in Nides, Marion. 1 bedroom, clean, small. Everything in it I bought myself. At 8:15, someone pounds on my door. Not knocking, pounding. I open it. Dad stands there in his work jacket. He doesn't wait to be invited in. Walks past me. Sits at my kitchen table like it belongs to him. Patricia's been unstable since Frank died. She drinks, makes things up. I lean against the counter, arms crossed. Does she? She's always been dramatic. Ask anyone. I'm asking you. He looks down at his hands, big, calloused from 28 years at the lumber mill. Hands that built Megan's treehouse. Hands that never built me anything. Do I look like you, Dad? His jaw tightens. You look like your mother. Mom has green eyes. You have brown. Megan has brown. I pause. I have blue. The kitchen goes quiet. The fridge hums. If you dig into this, he says slowly, you'll destroy everything. Everything. Like what? The family photos I'm not in? The birthdays you forgot? The bedroom you turned into storage before I even left? He stands. The chair scrapes against the linoleum. I came here to protect this family. You came to protect yourself. He walks to the door, stops, doesn't turn around. You want the truth, Tracy? Some truths don't fix anything. They just make everyone bleed. The door shuts behind him. I sit at the table where he sat. Open my laptop. Ancestry DNA, $99. Free shipping. Results in 6 to 8 weeks. I enter my card number. For 29 years, I thought I was the problem. I deserve to know if that's true. The kit arrives on a Tuesday. Small box. Clean white packaging. Simple instructions. I leave it on the counter and stare at it for an hour. My phone buzzes. Mom, can we have lunch? An hour later, I miss you. At 9 p.m., don't do anything rash. I don't reply. Wednesday morning, I open the kit. Cheek swab, tube, mailer, clinical. Quick. 90 seconds. But my hands shake the whole time. I seal it. Mail it. The clerk smiles. DNA test? Yeah. Fun. Stuff. My cousin found out she was 12% Scandinavian. I nod and leave. On the way home, I pass Birch Lane without meaning to. Habit. Just 2 turns off the main road. I slow, but don't stop. Mom's car is in the driveway. The house looks the same. My old bedroom window, bare. No curtains, just glass catching the afternoon light. Megan's window beside it, new blinds, clean, white, 2 windows, 1 dressed, 1 empty. I keep driving. 6 to 8 weeks, 42. To 56 days. Then I'll know. Until then, everything feels different. Every memory has a second layer. Every moment I thought I understood, Dad's distance, Mom's deflections, Megan's spotlight, now carries a question mark. I sit in my car outside my apartment, 6 to 8 weeks to find out if your entire life was built on someone else's lie. 3 weeks pass. I work. I manage the front desk at the vet clinic. Schedule surgeries. Handle intake forms. Hold people's hands when they bring in dogs that won't be going home. I don't go to Kellerton. I don't answer most calls. Megan calls one Sunday. What's going on, Tracy? Mom cries every night. Ask her why. She says you're being dramatic. Interesting choice of words. She sighs. Can you just come to dinner? Pretend things are normal? They were never normal, Megan. You just didn't see it. Silence. I hear Derek in the background asking about pizza or Chinese. She says pizza. Comes back with nothing to add. We hang up. Dad sends 1 text in 3 weeks. I hope you're happy with what you're doing to your mother. Not me. Not us. Her. He still hides behind her. Evenings, I go through old photo albums I took years ago. 3 albums. Over 200 photos across 12 years. I find exactly 3 with me in them. All group shots. In every one, I'm at the edge, almost cut out. But 1 photo stops me. A summer barbecue. I'm 4. Mom stands by the grill, laughing. Beside her, a man I don't recognize. His hand rests on her shoulder. Easy, familiar. I flip it over. Summer 2000, Dixon Hartley, BBQ Hartley. I've never heard that name before. At 11 p.m., I type, Russell Hartley, Kellerton, Ohio. Not much, an old listing, a decade-old church mention. A high school basketball roster, then, Facebook, Russell Hartley. Columbus, Ohio. Carpenter, 56. His profile picture shows a workshop. Sawdust on his apron, a half-finished bookcase behind him. But his face is clear, brown hair going gray at the temples, strong jaw, narrow nose, blue eyes. I hold my phone next. To the bathroom mirror. Blue eyes meeting blue eyes. His jaw. My jaw. The same narrow bridge of the nose Megan doesn't have. The same slight tilt of the ears I used to hate in school photos. The air leaves my lungs. The next morning, I call Great. Aunt Ruth. She answers on the second ring, like always. Aunt Ruth, do you remember someone named Hartley? Russell Hartley. She goes quiet. Then, Russell. Yes, he was around a lot when you girls were little. Then one day, he just left. Why did he leave? I never asked. But honey, your father seemed relieved when he did. I wait. Ruth is the kind of woman who says more in her silences than most people do in entire paragraphs. Your mother changed after Russell left, she adds, softer now, like she's remembering something fragile. Quieter, like she closed a door inside herself. Do you think, some questions, honey, only your parents can answer, and I don't think they will. I thank her and hang up. Russell Hartley, 90 minutes away in Columbus. Blue eyes. A carpenter. A man who left Kellerton in 1998 and never came back. And a daughter he might not even know exists. Patricia calls me on a Thursday evening. She's sober, I can tell. Her voice is lower, steadier, stripped of the warmth wine usually gives it. I'm sorry, Tracy. I should have told you years ago. I'm sitting on my apartment floor, leaning against the couch. Then why didn't you? She exhales. Robert told me when you were about 3. He came over one Tuesday afternoon, sat in Frank's chair, and said he knew you weren't his. He said he'd suspected it since the delivery room, your eyes, your coloring. He confronted Linda. She admitted it. Admitted what, exactly? That she'd been involved with someone while Robert was working that long job in Dayton. 4 months. Maybe longer. I close my eyes. With Russell Hartley? Silence. I don't know for certain, but your mother and Russell were close. Very close. What did Dad say he was going to do? He said he'd raise you, but he'd never love you the same. He said it like it was noble, like he was doing God's work by staying. My throat tightens. And you agreed to stay quiet? He threatened to cut me out completely. I wanted to tell you on your 18th birthday. I had it planned. But Robert found out and called me the night before. Said if I spoke, he'd tell the whole family I was an alcoholic and make sure I was shut out of everything. So you waited. I waited, and I watched them treat you like a guest in your own home. Every Thanksgiving, I sat at that table and swallowed the truth with wine. Her voice breaks. 29 years, Tracy. I'll carry that forever. Thank you for telling me. I just wish it hadn't taken wine. So do I. 7 weeks after Thanksgiving, January 9th, a Thursday. I'm sitting at my kitchen table with a bowl of cereal I haven't touched when the email arrives. Subject: your ancestry DNA results are ready. My spoon freezes halfway to my mouth. Milk drips onto the table. I set the bowl aside, open my laptop, and log in. My fingers don't feel like mine. The dashboard loads. At the top, ethnicity estimates. Bright, colorful, almost cheerful. 48% English and Northwestern European, 22% Irish, 14% Scottish, 16% German. And French. I stare at the numbers. Dad's family is Polish. Loudly, proudly Polish. His grandmother came from Warsaw. He keeps a framed map of Poland in the garage. At Dixon family reunions, they serve pierogies and kielbasa. There is 0% Eastern European in my DNA. I scroll down. DNA relatives. No matches with anyone named Dixon. Parent-child section. Empty. Robert Dixon isn't in the system, but he doesn't need to be. The numbers already tell the story. His bloodline and mine don't intersect. I sit there for 10 minutes. Laptop open. Kitchen silent except for the low hum of the refrigerator. Then I cry. Not the way I expected. Not anger. Not grief. Relief. Like something sealed inside me for 29 years has finally been released. I wasn't the difficult child. I was just the wrong man's daughter. I wipe my face and scroll further. Close family matches, one name, Nathan Hartley, Predicted relationship, half-sibling, shared DNA, 26.4%. Nathan Hartley, 24 years old, Columbus, Ohio. Russell Hartley's son, my half-brother, 29 years of macaroni dinners and folding chairs, and none of it was ever really about me, not once. I click on Nathan's profile carefully, like I'm opening something fragile. 24. Columbus. His photo shows a young man leaning against a truck, dark hair, slight beard, strong jaw, and his eyes, even in a tiny thumbnail, are unmistakably blue. The number sits there like a verdict, 26.4%. Exactly what you'd expect for a half-sibling. The algorithm doesn't lie. It has no reason to. I cross-check. Russell Hartley's Facebook mentions a son named Nathan, same age, same city. Nathan's Instagram is private, but his bio reads mechanic, Columbus, Ohio. God, dogs, engines. This isn't suspicion anymore. Not Patricia's confession. Not shared eye color in a mirror. It's science, percentages, data, proof that doesn't care about family dinners or who sat where. I call Patricia. It's confirmed, I say. Russell Hartley. She cries, the sober kind, sharp, uneven breaths. Oh, Tracy. Does he know about me? Silence. I don't think so. Robert made Linda promise she'd never tell him. He said if Russell found out, he'd come back, and everything would fall apart. It already did, I say. 29 years too late. I hang up and stare at the name on the screen. Nathan Hartley. My half-brother. 24. 90 minutes from where I grew up. He probably played Little League while I ate leftovers in a room stacked with Christmas boxes. And Russell. A man who might have held me as a baby. Might have looked into my eyes and seen his own staring back. But he was told to leave before he ever had the chance. My father has been 90 minutes away my entire life. I drive to Kellerton, the next day. Mom's car is in the driveway. Dad's truck isn't. He's still at the mill. She opens the door before I even knock, like she's been watching for me. Tracy, come in. I don't sit. I place my laptop on the kitchen table, open it, and turn the screen toward her. She looks down, and the color drains from her face in stages. Forehead, cheeks, lips. Where did you get this? I swabbed my own mouth, Mom. That's all it took. These tests aren't always accurate. I have a half-brother. His name is Nathan. He's 24. He lives in Columbus. His father is Russell Hartley. She grips the counter, knuckles turning white. Then she collapses into a chair, not dramatically, not loudly. Just folds in on herself. The sound she makes is the kind of crying that's been buried for decades. The truth comes out in pieces. Russell was Dad's closest friend. Dad took a 3-month job in Dayton. Mom was 25, home alone with 3-year-old Megan. Russell started coming by. To mow the lawn. Fix things, bring groceries. It lasted 4 months, maybe longer. She doesn't remember when it began, but she remembers exactly when it ended, the day the pregnancy test came back positive. She cut him off immediately, told him to leave town, told Dad the baby was his. But he knew, I say. She nods. Your eyes. The way he looked at you, then at me. I knew he knew. And he stayed. He stayed, she whispers. But he made me sign something. A promise, never to contact Russell, never to tell you. You chose yourself, Mom, and you let me pay for it. I was 25. I was terrified. I was nothing. I cut in. I didn't get a choice at all. Dad finds out that evening. My phone rings at 7:42. His voice sounds like gravel. You had no right. I'm driving back to Marion, headlights cutting through the dark. No right to know who I am? I say. I raised you. I fed you. I put a roof over your head for 18 years. You gave me the folding chair, Dad. The room without curtains. You skipped my graduation. I went to Megan's. I know. I watched from the parking lot. Silence. I can hear Mom faintly in the background pleading. I was there when I didn't have to be, he says, finally. Do you understand that? Most men would have left. And instead, you stayed and punished me every day for something Mom did before I was even born. That's not 14 photos on the wall, Dad. Not one of me. Tell me that's not punishment. His breathing turns uneven. When he speaks again, the anger is gone. What's left is colder. If you contact that man, you're done. Don't come to Christmas. I wasn't planning to. Tracy, he says, quieter now. You spent 29 years making me feel like I was the problem. Now you know that I know. And you can't make me forget it. I hang up, place the phone on the passenger seat, and keep my eyes fixed on the road. The highway is deserted. Just me, the dashed lines and dark fields stretching endlessly on both sides. I should be trembling. I should be in tears. But instead, there's a strange calm in my chest, like the quiet after a long breath out. He said, I'm done. He said, don't come to Christmas. Right then, I decide. I'm going to reach out to Russell, and I'm going to Christmas anyway. Saturday morning. My apartment. A cup of coffee sits on the counter, slowly going cold. I open Ancestry DNA and pull up Russell Hartley's indirect profile. He's not listed, but Nathan is. Through Nathan, I find Russell's email. I start typing a message. Delete it. Try again. Delete it again. 5 drafts, each one either too emotional or too detached. On the 6th attempt, I just write without stopping. My name is Tracy Dixon. I'm 29 years old. I grew up in Kellerton, Ohio. I recently took a DNA test, and your son Nathan showed up as my half-brother. I believe you may be my biological father. I'm not looking for money or to disrupt your life. I just want the truth. If you're open to talking, I'd appreciate it. I read it 4 times. Change. Appreciate. To glad. Change it back. Leave it as is. Then I send it. I flip the phone face down on the counter, walk into the bathroom, turn on the shower, and stand under the water until it turns cold. Sending that message feels different. Mailing the DNA kit was just science. Distant. Anonymous. This is personal. This is a man who might be my father, reading my name and either feeling nothing or everything, or the kind of guilt that makes people pretend they never saw the message at all. I step out, wrap a towel around myself, and look in the mirror. For the first time, I study my face like a map, not for what I recognize, but for where each feature might have come from. Blue eyes, brown hair with a wave my mom doesn't have, the shape of my ears, my jaw. I look like someone. Just not the people I grew up with. I leave the phone face down. I'll check it when I'm ready, or when I'm not. 36 hours pass. Sunday night. I'm folding laundry on my bed when a notification appears. Ancestry DNA message from Russell Hartley. I sit on the edge of the mattress, holding the phone in both hands. Tracy, I've read your message 3 times. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I left Kellerton in '98 because Linda told me it was over and that I should go. She never told me she was pregnant. I've thought about her and that time for nearly 30 years. I never imagined this. I can barely write this properly. Please. Call me. He leaves his number. I stare at it. 10 digits that could change everything that remains of my life. I dial. It rings twice. Tracy. His voice is warm, careful, the kind of careful that comes from holding something fragile. Yes. Hi. 10 seconds of silence. I hear him breathing. I hear myself breathing. I'm so sorry, he says, his voice breaking. I didn't know. If I had known, I believe you. He tells me his side. They were together for 4, maybe 5 months. Then my mom ended it suddenly. Said Robert was coming back. Told him to leave and not to call. So he packed up and drove to Columbus. Started over. Eventually married someone else. Had Nathan. Divorced 8 years ago. I asked about her once, he says. Called a mutual friend in 2004. They said she was doing fine. Had 2 daughters. He pauses. 2 daughters, Tracy. I never even did the math. His voice drops to a whisper. 29 years. I missed 29 years. You didn't miss them, I say. They were taken from you. Can I meet you? Would that be okay? I'd like that. Let me pause for a second. Russell didn't know I existed. For 29 years, he lived just 90 minutes away, completely unaware that his daughter was sleeping in a room without curtains and living off boxed mac and cheese, because a man who wasn't her father couldn't forgive the woman who was her mother. We meet at a coffee shop in Delaware, Ohio, halfway between us. 45 minutes each, neutral ground. I arrive 20 minutes early, order a black coffee, and sit in a corner booth facing the door. I want to see him first. At 10:09, the door opens. A man walks in, tall, lean, streaks of silver in brown hair, work boots, flannel shirt under a canvas jacket. He scans the room, blue eyes. He sees me and stops. His hand moves to his chest like something just hit him. I stand up, my legs unsteady. He walks over and stops 2 feet away, studying my face the same way I studied mine in the mirror. You have my mother's face, he says. Exactly. I don't know how to respond, so I don't. He opens his arms. I step into them. He holds me like I might vanish. We sit and talk for 2 hours. He tells me about his work, carpentry, mostly custom furniture, kitchen tables, bookshelves, cribs. He talks about Nathan, good kid, works at an auto shop, lives near campus. He tells me about his marriage, the divorce, the years after my mom. I tell him about the vet clinic, my apartment, community college, paying my own way, driving a Civic with a cracked dashboard. His eyes well up. You did all that on your own? I thought I was the difficult child, I say. Turns out I was just the inconvenient one. He sets his coffee down, presses his hands flat on the table. You shouldn't have had to earn something that was yours from the start. Before we leave, he asks, Does Robert know you're here? He told me not to contact you. Russell stares into his cup. He knew, he says quietly. He always knew. And he still let me leave. That evening, Megan calls. Her voice feels different, heavier, like she's been carrying something all day. Mom told me everything. Is it true? Which part? The affair, the DNA test, or the 29 years? All of it. She's quiet. I hear her swallow. Why didn't you tell me you were taking a test? Why didn't you ever wonder, Megan, why I ate different food? Why I slept in the storage room? Why? There are 14 pictures of you on that wall and none of me. I thought, she pauses, then continues. I just assumed that's how families were. That's because you were on the right side of it. The room goes silent. I check to make sure she hasn't hung up. I'm sorry, Tracy. Her voice is faint, smaller than I've ever heard. I truly am. I believe you. But sorry doesn't erase 29 years. No, I guess it doesn't. She sniffs. I hear Derek murmuring something behind her, and she waves him off. What are you going to do? I'm going to Christmas, Tracy. Dad said I wasn't welcome. Dad said a lot of things. For 29 years, most of them were meant to keep me small, quiet. I'm done being quiet. He might lose it. Maybe. But there will be 16 people in that room, and every single one deserves to hear the truth from me. Not Dad's version. Not Mom's version hiding behind mine. Megan exhales. Do you want me there? I didn't expect that. You'd still come, knowing what I'm about to do. You're my sister. Tracy, that part was never a lie. Something loosens in my chest. Small, but real. Yeah. I want you there. December 24th, 6:30 p.m. The Dixon House on Birch Lane. I park on the street this time, not the driveway. I want a clear exit. I'm wearing a navy blazer over a white blouse. First time I've dressed sharp for a family gathering. Not for them, for me. Armor looks different when it's self-chosen. My tote sits on the passenger seat. Inside, a manila envelope with my full ancestry DNA results, breakdown by ethnicity and relative matches. Nathan Hartley, half-sibling, 26.4% shared DNA. I inhale, grab the bag, and walk to the door. The house is louder than Thanksgiving. 16 people, every chair filled. The same 14 photos line the wall. Christmas lights strung across the mantel. Bing Crosby hums from the speaker. Mom spots me first. Her face shifts, relief, fear, then a carefully practiced neutrality. She's clearly rehearsed. Tracy, Merry Christmas. She reaches for a hug. I let her. Dad stands by the fireplace, watching me like the weather he cannot control. I told you. Merry Christmas, Dad. I sit in the living room. Ruth catches my gaze and nods subtly. Patricia sits in the corner chair, stone still, hands clasped. Megan and Derek arrive 5 minutes later. Megan squeezes my arm as she passes. Mom pulls me into the kitchen. Tracy, please, not tonight. I haven't done anything. Mom, I'm just here for dinner. I know that look. Then I know what's coming. She stares. I stare back. She looks away first. The envelope rests in my tote beside the folding chair. Waiting. Dad stands at the head of the table, taps his glass like he does every year. Patriarch in performance. I want to thank God for this family, for another year together, for Megan and Derek's beautiful new home. Derek, welcome, son, and for good health all around. He sits, picks up his fork. Ruth clears her throat, same as Thanksgiving. And Tracy, Robert, didn't she get promoted? Dad's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Tracy can speak for herself. The table shifts. Gary glances at Donna. Mark's wife stirs her wine. Plates move, conversation hums, but beneath it, a current, a tension. Everyone senses it. No one names it. During gift exchange, Megan hands me a small box. Inside, a deep blue cashmere scarf. I saw it and thought of you, she says, glassy-eyed. I nod, wrap it around my neck. Mom gives me a $25 Target gift card, generic, shrink-wrapped. Dad gives me nothing. He gives Megan a framed photo of her and Derek at the new house. She hugs him. He holds her. This is going right on the wall, he says. And there it is. The wall. 14 photos of Megan, the same wall I've stared at for 29 years. He adds a 15th. I look at that wall, and something in me, bending for 3 decades, quietly snaps. Not anger, not grief, clarity. Like finally being handed the key to a locked door you've stared at all your life. I stand, pull out the envelope from my tote. Ruth whispers, "Oh dear." I stand center in the living room. 16 people surround me. The Christmas tree casts soft light across the carpet. I need everyone to hear this. Dad rises. Tracy, don't. You've had 29 years of don't. Dad, I'm done. Open the envelope, pull out the printed results. Hands steady. I took a DNA test 7 weeks ago. These are the results. Ethnic breakdown. 48% English, 22% Irish, 14% Scottish, 16% German and French. I look at Dad. 0% Eastern European, 0% Polish. The Dixon bloodline and mine do not intersect. Someone inhales sharply. Beth, maybe, or Gary's wife. Paternity conclusion. Robert Dixon is excluded as my biological father. My biological father is Russell Hartley. He lived here until 1998. He left because Mom told him to. He didn't know I existed until 6 weeks ago. I turned to Dad. You knew, since I was born. You saw my blue eyes in the delivery room and knew. And instead of leaving, you stayed and punished me. Every meal, every birthday, Every photo you never took. I turned to Mom. And you let him, because keeping your secret mattered more than protecting your child. Silence fills the room. Eric stares at the floor. Mark's wife covers her mouth. Ruth sits perfectly still, tears flowing. Megan hugs herself near the kitchen doorway. Patricia rises. She speaks the truth. Robert told me when Tracy was 3. I've kept it ever since. The room exhales. Nothing is the same. Dad speaks first. This is family business, Tracy. You had no right to. Ruth interrupts from across the room. You had no right to treat that child the way you did, Robert. Not one day. Certainly not 29 years. Dad turns to Ruth. She doesn't flinch. 81 years old, and not a flinch. Mom sobs quietly, hands pressed to her mouth. Donna reaches for her, but Mom pulls away. Megan steps forward. Is that why you never loved her the same? Because of what Mom did. I raised her, Megan. I gave her. You gave her a folding chair, a room full of Christmas decorations. Megan's voice cracks. While I got everything. The bedroom, the photos, the down payment, all of it. Derek touches Megan's shoulder. Maybe we should leave. No. Megan doesn't move. I'm staying. Patricia faces Robert. I told you 20 years ago to tell her. You said it would ruin everything. Look around this room, Robert. This is what pretending did. Gary leans to Donna, whispers. She shakes her head. They don't leave. Nobody leaves. Dad sinks into the recliner, head in hands. The room watches a man, long held up as the pillar of this family, fold under his own. Silence. I tried, he mumbles. I tried to love her the same. Patricia answers softly, firmly. No, you didn't. Megan crosses to me, eyes swollen. She ate mac and cheese while I ate steak. Dad, she was 10. Dad doesn't look up. The Christmas lights blink on and off. Only thing still moving in the room. I grab my coat, slide the envelope back into my tote, wrap Megan's scarf around my neck. The room watches. 16 people, some crying, some frozen, some holding hands under the table. I turn to Dad. I don't hate you. You stayed when many men wouldn't. But you made me believe I was the problem. Every skipped birthday, every empty wall, every time you looked at Megan like she was yours, and at me like I was evidence. I pause. I was never the problem. No answer. Head stays in hands. I turn to Mom. I needed one of you. Just one. To tell me the truth. You chose silence every time, not to protect me, to protect yourself. Mom reaches for my arm. I let her touch it, then step back. I face the room. I'm not asking anyone to choose sides, not seeking an apology tonight. I just need the people who made me invisible to finally see me. I turn to Megan. You didn't know. I don't blame you. Megan takes my hand. I hold it for 3 seconds, then release. I walk to the front door. Stop. Turn one last time. The wall stood there, solid and silent. It wasn't remarkable at first glance, just a blank expanse of white plaster stretching from the floor to the ceiling. But for me, it had always been a boundary, a marker of absence, a reminder of what didn't belong to me. I studied it now, counting the framed photographs I had never expected to see on someone else's wall. 14 in total, each one carefully placed, telling stories I hadn't lived but had been stitched into the lives of others. And then there was the 15th, still wrapped in paper, resting on the table like a promise of something that might, one day, fit into the emptiness I carried inside. I touched the edge of the wrapping, imagining that someday, perhaps someday, I might see one of my own on that wall. The door creaked as I pushed it open, stepping out into the cold. Decembers. Air bit sharply at my face, but there was a clarity in it, a crispness I hadn't felt in years. I inhaled deeply, the cold air filling my lungs in a way that felt almost holy, almost purifying. For decades, I had carried this weight, a quiet suffocation that pressed against my chest. Now it was as if I had finally opened a window inside myself. Each breath was a reclamation. I walked to the car and slid behind the wheel. The engine hummed softly, a familiar comfort, and I drove through the night. The road was dark, the asphalt slick with frost, the streetlights tracing pools of light that faded into the shadows. The car was quiet. For the first time in 29 years, I didn't feel like the difficult child. I didn't feel like a misfit or a mistake. I was simply a woman who had finally spoken the truth. 6 lives. That's what a single DNA test and 5 simple, unremarkable words could rearrange. Me, Tracy. It was almost absurd to think that everything I had assumed about myself, about my place in the world, could pivot on such small things. But it did. Every connection, every memory, every unspoken tension fell into new shapes. I didn't return to Kellerton. Instead, I made a commitment to myself, a small but firm step forward. Therapy began in January, a regular appointment every Tuesday at 4. My therapist, Dr. Cleaney, had a calm presence that radiated quietly. There was a plant on her windowsill, a small stubborn thing that survived despite the harsh fluorescent lighting. During our 3rd session, she said something that lodged itself in my chest, a sentence I would tape to my bathroom mirror to remind myself of the truth. You didn't break anything, Tracy. You just stopped holding the broken pieces together. For them. Robert. Dad, though he no longer felt like the father I knew, spent most evenings in the garage now, not working, not tinkering with old engines or forgotten projects, just sitting. Mom mentioned he barely spoke. The extended family gradually withdrew. Gary and Donna no longer attended Sunday dinners. Ruth sent a text one night. You owe that girl more than silence. He didn't respond. Linda. Mom lost 11 pounds in 2 weeks, her body a physical echo of the grief she carried inside. She called. Every 3 days. Sometimes I answered, sometimes I didn't. She began seeing her own therapist in February, a quiet acknowledgement that she needed guidance too. Megan told me later that she had shared everything, every secret, every burden she had carried in silence for 29 years, all compressed into 50-minute sessions. Megan, my sister, began calling me every Thursday evening. She no longer asked the filler questions that masked discomfort. Now she asked real questions, questions that required honesty, reflection, and vulnerability. She admitted that she had spent years looking back at every privilege she took for granted, realizing my absence in each one. I didn't know, no longer sufficed. She needed to understand the truth. Patricia slept through the night for the first time in years. When we spoke on the phone, she told me something I hadn't anticipated. You should have spoken up sober 20 years ago, she said, and there was no judgment in her voice. Robert hadn't spoken to her since Christmas Eve. That's the price, she said, and I'd pay it again. Russell began to integrate himself into my life slowly, cautiously. He told Nathan, and Nathan's shock wasn't tinged with hostility. Russell started driving the 45 minutes to Delaware every other week to meet me at the same coffee shop, always arriving early. Each visit was a small ritual, a testament to patience and persistence. February arrived with its slow, creeping thaw. Snow gave way to slush, the earth softening beneath the first tentative rays of sunlight. One Thursday, I found a letter in the mailbox, handwritten, with no return address. The handwriting was instantly recognizable, tight, slanted, the precise leftward lean of a man taught cursive by nuns. I sat at the kitchen table, yellow-lined paper in hand, the edges curling slightly from the cold. The letter did not begin with Dear Tracy. Instead, it began with the night I was born. The nurse placed me in my mother's arms, and Robert stood there, watching. My eyes opened, crystal blue, and he looked at Linda, who avoided his gaze, staring at the floor. He recounted the internal promises he had made to himself that night, the vows to love me despite everything, the failures to separate my innocence from the failures around me. He confessed that he had held on to Megan because she was the only thing he felt certain of, the only anchor in a chaotic household. He admitted the truth I had felt, but could not articulate for decades. I was never given a chance to be fully seen, to be fully loved. "I don't expect you to forgive me," he wrote, "but I needed you to know I see it now." I folded the letter along its original creases and placed it in my nightstand. I didn't reply. I wasn't ready, but the drawer remained unlocked. Megan invited me to see her house in late March. She lived on Elm Street now, just a few blocks, east of the elementary school, her home tucked away in a quiet corner of Kellerton. The moment I arrived, she opened the door with that wide, open smile that had always been hers. The house smelled like fresh paint, vanilla candles, and something earthy that reminded me of old wood. She showed me the renovations first. The kitchen with quartz countertops, a reading nook cleverly built into the staircase wall, and then she led me down the hallway. "I did something," she said, hesitant. "If you hate it, I'll take it down." I looked at the wall. 3 framed photographs, not of Megan, but of me. A church picnic from 2002, laughing mid-bite at a paper plate. A 4th of July holding a sparkler, my face lit with firelight. And my community college graduation, a solitary selfie in the parking lot, cap and gown on, forced smile in place, but achievement undeniable. She had found them in the old albums, matted and framed them, and displayed them for me. "It's not enough," she said softly. "But I wanted you to be on a wall somewhere." I reached out, touching the cool glass of the graduation photo. "You saw it when it mattered," I said quietly. April came with the slow push of life returning to the streets, the trees unfurling their first green leaves. My windows, shut since October, opened for the first time, letting in the sun and the smell of damp earth. My life, too, was beginning to take a new shape. Tuesdays with Dr. Clean focused on unraveling the internal narrative I had carried for 29 years, the story I had used to justify my invisibility, my erasure. Slowly, that story began to dissolve, melting like ink into water. Every other Saturday, Russell continued his pilgrimage from Delaware. He brought photographs, stories, memories, never demanding more than he could give, never promising what he could not deliver. Megan's Thursday calls became a lifeline, learning to be a sister in practice, not just in name. Nathan came on Wednesdays, fixing the leaky faucet in my kitchen and staying for hours, sharing root beer and debates about octopuses and dogs. Robert remained distant, quiet, smaller than I remembered. His letter sat in the drawer, read and reread, but untouched in its place. Linda called every Sunday. We spoke briefly, honestly, without pretense, acknowledging failures and missteps in the silence that followed. One Saturday in late April, I bought a small, simple silver frame. I placed a photo of me, Nathan, and Russell at the coffee shop inside it. The first family photo I had ever been part of. I put it on the shelf by my door, a quiet declaration that I belonged somewhere, even if the belonging was newly claimed. Stood on a step stool in my living room one bright April morning, hammer in hand, 4 nails poised, 4 frames ready. The first went up left of center, my community college graduation, a symbol of perseverance and solitary triumph. The second, Russell and me at the coffee shop, mid-conversation, faces open and unguarded. The third, Nathan and me, laughing at the camera, tongues out, the laughter Russell said we shared reflected back. And the fourth, Megan and me, her arm around my shoulder, mine around hers, standing together as sisters finally choosing each other. I stepped down, surveyed the wall. 4 photos. Not 14, not 15. Just 4. Each one mine. Each one a claim on the life I had always deserved. Patricia had said 5 words at a Thanksgiving table. "You were never a Dixon." Those words could have shattered me. But now they meant something else. I wasn't a Dixon, I was me. Tracy, 29 years old. For the first time, Fully known, fully seen, fully mine. 4 photos, all mine. That was more than enough. 6 lives, 1 DNA test, 29 years of silence. Broken by 5 words at a Thanksgiving table. And in that, there was freedom.
If you like a video, then subscribe our YouTube channel for more videos and updates.